Do you know what a word is? It's this cute little guy here. Hey buddy. This guy has been a major factor in understanding how language works, how we humans learn to speak and use language. And if you never saw one in real life, this is because a word is not real. It's a mythical creature. Even though this guy is not real, he serves a very important purpose in linguistics and has massively impacted this science field. He can show us how language is learned by kids. Yes, this one little guy here has the power to do that. The word is a simple creature, looking quite similar to a bird. It was invented by Jean Berko Gleason, an American psycholinguist, in 1958 in what we call the word test. The purpose of this test was to show how children learn a language, and more specifically, to show that they do not learn by memorizing words, but rather by learning internal rules. Let's do this test ourselves. It's very simple and quick. If you have young children, you can even do that with them. If English is not your native language, it might even work for you. So, here's the first panel. One word. Cute guy. Nice. Here's the second panel, with two of them. What do you say here? One word? Two words? If that's what you said, well, that's the correct answer. Congratulations. But why does this matter? It probably sounds very trivial, right? If this test matters, it's because it shows how we learn a language by internalizing a set of rules, often without thinking about it, because we learned this when we were kids. You never heard the word word before this video, because, like I said, it's a made-up creature and it's a made-up word. Yet, you managed to use the plural form of words without thinking about it. You knew how to construct the plural on a completely new word. This is why we need this guy to run the test and not a common word like a cat. Because if you were to see how the plural is learned, then cat could be problematic. It's a common word that we have heard often, and we heard the plural form cats quite often too. So, if we were to see how a child learns to construct the plural, asking them to say two cats could just reflect the fact that they heard the word cats with an S at the end and are just repeating it. I mean, that's what children do, and that's how they learn a language. They repeat what they hear. So, using a common word would not be a good test, as we would not necessarily learn about how they learn to use the plural, and it could just reflect what they heard. One cat, two cats, and many cats. Maybe they're just repeating the plural form of cats because they know they have to. But using a made-up word, we know they are not repeating a plural form they heard before, because they never heard this word. Instead, they are constructing the plural and apply it to a new word, because they learn grammar rules. And let me highlight a point here. These grammar rules are usually learned without thinking about them. Children are learning and are understanding patterns in languages as they are learning to speak. Sure, we talk about grammar rules in classes, and especially language classes, but most of our grammar skills come from learning to speak as a young child, way before going to school. This is important because, like I said, we can see with this test that children are not just imitating adults, but are active language learners trying to find patterns. The word test is pretty cool and can be applied to other aspects of language learning, not just the plural. You might have to be creative to test things, but the idea is the same. You use a made-up word and see how children can form grammar around it. I could just change my word to a verb. Let's say the verb to work means to become a word. I work, he works, I'm working, he's working. Here again, you can see how grammar is translated directly into actual language use, even though work is a made-up word. Another point about language learning is that while this test was designed for children and language acquisition, we can also apply that with adults to an extent. If you are learning a new language, your brain also tries to find patterns in the language to learn it. We may do that more actively, and we are usually more aware of it when it comes to a foreign language we are trying to learn as an adult. The word test goes beyond first language acquisition and also has applications in second language learning. If you're learning a different language, maybe submit yourself to some form of a word test to see if you understand a grammatical aspect of the language you are trying to learn. There are a lot of tests like this one, and this falls under the umbrella of psycholinguistics, which is the discipline that studies how the human mind acquires, produces, comprehends, and represents language. Today, we have learned a lot about how language is learned and used by people. Using various tests, some more complicated than this one, we are understanding the human mind a bit better every day. But, that being said, there is still a lot that we need to uncover. There is still a lot we don't know about language and how it works. Tests like this one are important and essential in unraveling the mysteries of our minds.